You are listening to an All Games Radio Network broadcast of AllGames.com.
AllGames.com.
Hi, this is Normie from Knuckleballer Radio and Zombie Cast, and you're listening to one of my favorite shows on the Geeky Antics Network. Don't forget to check out the rest of the gang over at geekyantics.net. Warning, there might be rants and food ahead and possibly inappropriate behavior. Don't tell anybody though.
What's up, guys? Yomar here, a.k.a. Yogizilla. I just have a real quick call to action today. If you want to support the Geeky Antics Network, it's a really simple thing you could do. We give you a few links, and all you gotta do is click on them, share them, like them. You do all the social media stuff. Ideally, buy something, but it's not required of you. Of course, this is just a way to help our sponsors out and help us pay our bills, and we just humbly ask that you share these links as much as you can. No pressure, but we would greatly appreciate it. I mean, we get it. Lots of people don't have money these days, disposable income, what is that? So donating is not always a thing, but clicking links and sharing stuff on social media, I think everybody could do that. So the links are very simple. They all start with geekyantics.net/whatever, right? So one is geekyantics.net/shiny prints. The other one is geekyantics.net/weddings, and then we have geekyantics.net/Martin Septic. And if you just share those and tell some friends, check them out, see what's out over there. And if you like what you see, definitely spread the word. I'm sure you know at least 5 people that might be at least mildly interested. And we'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys.
You're about to listen to the Timey-Wimey Tea Time Podcast, a geekyantics.net and allgames.com production. Find out what everyone's talking about. The Doctor, of course. Doctor Who? Exactly, that Doctor. Join us live at www.twitch.tv/geekyantics. That's geekyantics. Hang out with us, ask questions, laugh, and have at it. We can't wait to hear what's on your minds and hearts.
Tiny, whiny tea time.
Greetings and welcome to Timey-Wimey Tea Time, where friends gather to talk about all things Doctor Who, sci-fi, fantasy, zombies, creativity, and geekdom as a whole. We have some stimulating topics ahead of us. Yes, for you. Goodies, some treats for this tea time. But before we get into those treats, gotta do the introductions, obligatory introductions. And in the words of Stan Farina, author, friend, and former co-host, I'm Yomar Lopez, known throughout the interwebs and sometimes the Whoverse as Yogizilla. Friends IRL, believe it or not, call me Yogi. And as our old friend Stan Farina has been known to say, I'm a gamer, I'm a dreamer, an author of silliness, a disgruntled techie, a wild-eyed entrepreneur, and a fistful of happy emoji kinds of sunshine. I ride into the battle upon a glittering My Little Pony. Out of my mouth come laughing swords of peppermint and ginger. But above all, I hope that we can become friends as we embark upon a journey through time and space, the human condition, and merriment/bantering. But I'm not the only one here during this fine tea time on a not-so-fine day. It's a rainy day here in Georgia. I don't know how the weather is in your neck of the woods if you're listening live or well after the fact on one of the many podcast platforms we're on, for example, allgames.com. or geekyantics.net. Woot woot. But I'm joined also by our old friend Oolong, a.k.a. Fatal Blades.
Woot woot. I just thought it was a thing. Is that a thing now?
It is a thing.
Oh, okay.
We'll make it a thing.
All right.
Whoa, and I spy with my magic eye a Spaffyzilla that just poked into the chat. Shh, don't say anything. I think he's trying to lurk.
Oh.
For those of you that don't know, or if you're brand new, Spaffyzilla is the other Zilla of our network, and he's the guy. He's the man behind the man behind the man. He's the awesome dude behind the scenes that helps me keep up with the tech stuff, because otherwise I'd be overwhelmed. So without him, things would probably break down. So how's your week been? How's the last 2 weeks been for you?
Oh, man. Going pretty good. Been pretty fun, kind of interesting, sort of random, and weeks. They've been weeks. Yeah, I know a lot of detail there, but I don't know. I mean, I guess they've been kind of fun. There's been some fun stuff happening and whatnot, but that's about it. They're pretty much weeks. I'm not an exciting person.
Oh, that's not true.
I wish I could be like, I fought like 32 ninjas, then did a triple backflip, and then I went and cliff dived, and I skydived, and then I dived into a pool, and then I found a headset and I full dived, but there's just no time for all that diving. Too much diving.
Well, you know what? There's something to be said for routine, right? Having nice foundation, some stability. So then when you do the spontaneous things, then it's not so disruptive. I like a routine. I'm getting the older I get, the more I like things the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't lie. I'm pretty hyped for WrestleMania tomorrow. Like, that's got me hyped.
Yeah, that kind of snuck up on me. You guys kept talking about it on NSFW, and I was like, wait a minute. Oh, that's tomorrow? Oh, crap.
Yeah. Surprise.
Should be a busy weekend.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say real quick, welcome new and old friends alike. We might as well, go through the usual time stamping and whatnot, the formalities, if you will. Today is April 2nd, 2016. This show is bi-weekly, so we do it every 2 weeks, and it's a good opportunity for us to catch up and talk about things we can't talk about on our other podcasts and our other outlets. But this is episode 49 of TWTT. And today we have lots of gaming talk again. I'm still foaming at the mouth to talk about more Time Classic Division. But I'm going to tone it down. Okay, I know not everybody's as big on it as I am, or maybe as we are. But we will be talking about other things that are even not gaming related, more creative stuff, which is also a big aspect of this show. But since we won't end up getting to this particular show that we're going to talk about, the show within the show, I think we should mention it really quickly. And the $1 million question, Oolong, is: are you caught up on The Walking Dead?
I'm getting there.
Where are you at? Spoiler for those that are not caught up.
Man, well, no, I can do it without spoiling. Hold on. I am about 3 episodes away from being caught up.
Okay. I think there's 2 or 3 episodes. It might be just 2 episodes left. This Sunday and then the Sunday after. So by the time we come back, I believe The Walking Dead would have been wrapped up for season 6. I can't believe it's season 6 already.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of how can I talk about this without being too spoily? Now, it's pretty clear everybody's talking about all over the place that they're coming back to the comics. But they do that all the time. People are like, oh, this is the best season yet because they're following the comics closely. Well, they do that all the time, and then they deviate. And there's rumors that the payoff at the end won't be worth it. It's going to be another off-cam kill cliffhanger.
They're just going to try and swerve it again, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen this already a couple of times. Well, one time that comes to mind, the last time we ended the season, that's how they ended it. So, Or was it before the mid-season break? No, it was the season finale. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So some people are really mad about that, especially the graphic novel fans. They're like, well, they're cheap. They're gonna ruin the effect of one of the most pivotal parts in the story. They're gonna ruin the narrative, and well, they have to. Like with The Walking Dead, I've learned to just go along for the ride. Um, it's one of those things where you have to realize this is AMC's biggest show. It's their cash cow. They're gonna milk it for everything it's worth because that's the smart business decision to make. So what's good for the business may not be great for the fans, but let's be honest, the vocal minority, they're gonna just have to sulk because they're gonna keep stretching it out. They're gonna keep it going for as long as they can, and they're gonna end up having much more filler and deviating from the comics. When Robert Kirkman decides to stop the graphic novels, they're gonna keep the show going. They'll just make up stuff. They really did it.
Yeah, I mean, I've forfeited the idea that they're going to be anywhere near the graphic novel for pretty much the foreseeable future because eventually all of these changes are going to separate it so much that you just can't compare it. So I kind of have to keep it in my mind to treat them as two separate entities.
Yeah.
Like and even as a fan of the graphic novel, I'm like, okay, so the graphic novel is how it happened. And the TV show is kind of a fan fiction alternate reality of the same universe. So I almost multiverse it in my head. I'm like, in this universe, this is happening. But in this universe, this is happening.
And I honestly feel like your best bet is to kind of pick up the graphic novels. And when I say novels, because I know it's one novel, but I buy them, I would say buy them in volumes. And buy them, buy the ones that are in the past. So you're looking at the ways the story deviated on the show rather than going, I really hope the show does it this way,
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem of reading the graphic novel as the issues come out, because then the expectations come up like, oh, they really need to deliver on this. There's certain things that don't translate well on TV, and they're also limited because it's on AMC. It's not on, it's not on Showtime. It's not on HBO.
Yeah.
It'd be a whole different show if it was on those big networks where they could actually get away with a lot of F-bombs and whatnot. But that's also part. I'd say that's actually kind of a good thing because it gets them to be more creative with how they tell the story, and kind of leave more up to your imagination, which I think is good. That's perfectly fine. No, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely better because like you said, they have to be creative, but they have to also work around certain things. It would have been. I think it would have been an entirely different show had someone like HBO or something picked it up. But the fact that AMC has it, and they do really well with what they have, like with the material they've got and kind of the restrictions they have, I think they do extremely well, and it kind of keeps writers on their toes, having to maneuver things around. There's still options where they could have kept closer to the graphic novels, but that's just an inner fan thing. And like I said, if you treat them as two separate universes, it's not so bad.
Yeah, they just complement each other. So
yeah,
I think that's the way you should treat it. It's a whole different style of storytelling. I think also if we had seen The Walking Dead on a Showtime or an HBO, what we would have seen is a zombie festival. It would have been a lot more about the zombies, less about the human drama. And then, what also boggled my mind is that a lot of the fans are saying, man, this show has become such a soap opera. It's just cliffhangers and emotional drama and BS. And I'm like, well, that's what it's been for a long time. Even Kirkman himself says that, that he considers The Walking Dead a soap with an edge. It's about the human drama. The Walking Dead are not the zombies. It's the people that are being mindless and driven by selfish reasons. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's even like that in the graphic novel, though. Like, it really is.
It is.
But there's a few extra struggles and things that you don't really get on the show. So, I mean, they can't be like, oh, this is not as action packed. It's like it never really was when you look at it. Like, there's actiony moments. There's stuff that drive like that, but they're few and far between compared to the, emotional breakdown of, oh, this is post-apocalyptic future. Oh, everything we knew is entirely changed. Like, it almost reminds me of Zombieland, all I want are my Twinkies. Like, they're looking for some semblance of normalcy inside of this world of zombies and insanity. Well, walkers. Can't say zombies, walkers. And insanity.
Right. And it's just funny that people, if anything, the graphic novel glorifies the violence a lot more. But again, AMC's working with what they have, and what they're doing works. Obviously, it would not be the biggest show on TV if they weren't doing something right. I mean, people that don't even like zombie stories are loving The Walking Dead. So that tells you something.
True.
By the way, folks, if you are new or newish to our Tea Time show, you may notice we don't talk much Doctor Who, at least not in the off season. And that's because this show has evolved into more of a platform for, I would say, deep yet casual conversations. We're not trying to go really in depth and do research papers and write a thesis or whatever about all these different topics that we love. We're just talking about it from more of a personal, a more intimate perspective, and regardless of what it is, whether it's fandoms or the creative process, video games, whatever. And it's basically anything geeky or creative. That's basically what we talk about. We go deeper on video games, sci-fi, fantasy, fandoms, the creative process as a whole. We banter a bit. There's also a lot of overlap between TWT and other Geeky Antics flagship shows, I would say. But here we keep it clean. We want to approach the topic more from a more accessible perspective. Bring your family, bring your kids, whatever. We make it more creative, perhaps more nerdy. I think that's the distinction there. And if you've been around since the beginning, thank you. Glad you're still around. I'm glad we didn't scare you away. And I hope that we hope that you're digging the new changes. If you want more Who, however, if that's really the main reason you're here, send us your topics or consider joining us as a co-host. You could be a rotating co-host, a guest co-host. We could always use a third or fourth perspective, definitely. Everyone's welcome here on Timey Wimey Tea Time. So that's all I wanted to say there, because I think it's important I'm going to try to keep bringing that message home, because I know we have people that come back and they're like, whoa, where's Doctor Who?
Maybe one day we could do like a really nice, fan panel, just have people join in and have kind of a round table on some stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be inevitable that there'll be weeks when we don't really have compelling topics to talk about. So we might just say, hey, you know what? Let's do a flashback. Let's do a Doctor Who flashback. Let's go back to a classic Doctor Who. Maybe pick up an audiobook, something. There's so much Doctor Who content out there. It's like, ooh, I'm just scared to go down that road because I know what will happen. But that could be fun too. I mean, there's plenty of old content to go back to. Now, I haven't checked, but did Netflix finally get rid of their Doctor Who content? Because they were toying with the idea, and I know the license renewal was up for grabs. It was up in the air.
Man, I don't know if Netflix did. I know Hulu did. Because Hulu, I don't believe, has any more of their Doctor Who stuff. I think that everyone kind of lost Doctor Who. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think the only real Doctor Who stuff you find anymore on Netflix are documentaries or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if the BBC is playing hardball and they're charging more for those license renewals or what's going on there. I mean, with Netflix, they always let it lapse and then they renew it.
I mean,
I just keep forgetting to check.
there's been a lot of talk about BBC doing their own
Streaming
provided
platform.
streaming service.
Yeah.
And so if we get, BBC Online or something, it could be interesting. I think it would actually probably have a huge pull when you really think about it. Doctor Who, Sherlock, Downton Abbey, things like that. If they did their own, but I'm not necessarily sure if they could premium it. Maybe, like perhaps, but I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out, and if they go that route.
What I would see is the perfect way to do it, because they can't make it free because that would devalue cable packages, and they'll lose those partnerships. But if it's like $5 a month, maybe even $10 a month, and you have full access just for like if you have full access to all the Doctor Who stuff that they have, everything that they've recovered, because a lot of stuff that was lost during the Great Fire back in those days. That'd be worth it.
Yeah, like a nice BBC on demand kind of thing.
Yeah, just for the Doctor Who stuff, I totally pay it. And then the Sherlock stuff and everything else they have, that'd be a value added. I'd rewatch Torchwood, which
dude, Archives of Misfits, like
The Office.
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, see that
the IT people
still on
the IT crowd. That's IT crowd.
Yeah, both of those though, the Office and the IT crowd are both still on Netflix.
Interesting how that works out.
Yeah, like it seems like it was a very Doctor Who kind of pull specifically. I'm not sure if Sherlock is still on Netflix. I believe it is. But yeah, it seemed to be kind of a Doctor Who pull. I'm not sure exactly what they're, if they're creating some kind of Whovian portal. That could be kind of cool, but who knows? We'll see.
See, it sounds like it's something we'll have to keep tabs on.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, let's look at our intergalactic star map. And these are the adventures and ponderings that await you for this wonderful timey-wimey tea time. Oh, yeah. I don't know what that was. I just went with it. So, first off, we have, before we go deeper, that's where we do our shameless plugs and do a little housekeeping. Who knew? We have headlines in tech, gaming, and the Whoverse. Creative Corner, we're going to talk about pricing your creative work, and of course, we'll have the TWT word of the day. Then at Tea Time Tidbits, we're going to talk about the creative possibilities with AI. And finally, with the gaming verse, and hopefully we'll get to it because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll talk about the divisions so far and some other stuff that we've been playing. So before we go deeper, this is where, we do stuff, talk about the show, self-promotion, a little tooting our own horns. So we'll go through it as quickly as possible. Quick reminder, this is a show that we try to keep family-friendly. It's probably the only show on the Geeky Antics Network, or all games really, that keeps it clean these days. So, Obi, if you have to pop in, keep it clean. No cussing. We keep the show PG-10. We'll make a new rating. And for our global audience, that's probably foreign. And, they have a lot more rating brackets in the UK, I've been told. They have what's the equivalent of like PG-12 or, no, not PG. I think they do have like a PG-10 category.
I have no clue. I don't know. If I tried to keep up with all the rating systems and censorship programs, I would go insane. Yeah.
Yeah, so that whole thing is a hot mess sometimes. Social Dozen, if you haven't been keeping up, it's our new show that's featured on multiple networks. I maintain the feed, and I'm trying to get more to a regular content schedule on that. I think we're aiming towards getting them out every Tuesday. They're pre-recorded, sometimes we stream them live, but they're pre-recorded and they go up on the audio feeds on Tuesday. That's what we're aiming for, at least. Session 5 and 6 are finally up, and you can check some of those videos out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/geeky antics. The feed itself is geekyantics.net, the social dozen, / the social dozen. And for all our podcasts, geekyantics.net / podcasts. Don't forget we have a new voicemail and SMS line. That's 646-801-2149. And of course, you can visit us at facebook.com / geekyantics, or email us a short being the operative word, MP3, not a wave or PCM, nothing like that. Just an MP3. You can send it to twtt@geekyantics.net. And Whovians, represent, please. Represent for the Whovian cause. Leave us some iTunes reviews. We know it's cumbersome. It's not the most user-friendly platform, but it really means a lot to us. Let us know that we know people are listening. We see the numbers, but just say hello. You could be amongst the first to do it. The truth be told, the easiest way to leave reviews is just to install the software on your PC or Mac. That's sadly the easiest way, and I hate to. That's a lot of stuff to ask people to do. Install the software if you already have it on there, and then go look us up on iTunes, and then leave us a review. But that's actually the easiest way, because on mobile devices, it's a bit of a chore. It's crazy. We still have Steam gift exchange going on. That's an ongoing thing. We got gigantic codes for PC and Xbox One. We got Dungeon of the Endless, Torchlight 2, Van Helsing, Speedrunners, Rocket League, and a bunch of other games to give away. You gotta be in it to win it. So connect, be part of our community, and we might just send you a random gift just for the heck of it. Don't forget, folks, you can listen to us live every other Saturday at allgames.com or twitch.tv / geekyantics. And be sure to check out our other shows on our respective networks, but keep in mind, they may not be your cup of tea. And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's where we'll leave it. Let's get to the news.
Oh, hold on, time out.
Oh.
Fans, if you're fans of the older shows or whatnot, if someone could get me a count of the times that Yogi has used that cup of tea joke, just get the count. Go ahead and leave a voicemail with the count. I've always wondered this because I hear it. So get me a count of that, guys. Just leave a comment or a voicemail. How many times in how many episodes has he used that cup of tea line?
Since you've become the co-host on the show, I think I've only not
every
used
time.
No, there's been like twice I haven't used it.
What? I don't think so. I do not recall a time it was not used. Fans, comment, voicemail, leave us something. Let me know. It'll be a thing.
Hey, it's part of the brand where it can't be. It's
okay.
You know,
I'm just getting a tally, okay? I am just getting hard factual numbers.
It feels
so
like you
next
guys are
time
starting.
You use it, I can keep up with the count, and it'll be like a referee just 463.
It sounds like we got a pool going because BFT's like 42 times. Everybody jumped on that.
See? Just saying. Find it out. Leave us a comment. I'm more than happy to hear about this voicemail. Give me a breakdown.
I mean, I think 42 might be on the high end. I would say 35. That'd be my number.
I'm gonna say a lot.
That's not a number.
Every episode. So which episode is this? This is episode
49.
49. So I am going to say 49, maybe 50 times.
Okay. BFT, are you keeping track? You'll be our bookkeeper on this. Yes, we just volunteered you.
And every time he says it, just add to the tally. I'll make a bot command if it makes it easier.
By the way, if you guys don't know BFT 9000, he's also on Twitch. Good guy. Make sure you check him out. And just might as well get it out there. Oolong streams as well. It's fatal_blades, and it's F8TL, number 8.
Yep.
So, I'm Yogizilla. Pretty straightforward. So, who knew? We got some news. We got some news. We skipped it last time, but we're not skipping this time. So here we go. Fire with Fire. Early access is here. We've been waiting for this, and it's finally here. It took about 4 or 5 months longer than it should have, but that's the indie world. But I'm glad that Theory was able to do it. So congrats to our friend Theory. Beauty says, "What? I'm at work. I have important security things to secure." Okay. Did someone else keep track? Fatal said 49 or 50. That's not really an answer. That's two answers, but okay. And BFT is down for 42. I say 35. I'm going on the low end. So I think the true number is somewhere in the middle. Just gonna throw that out. That's my hint for you. That's my gift to you.
I think it's like 49.
Okay. Or is it? Also, by the way, Fire with Fire is, if you don't know, it's a tower defense and tower offense game. It's online. It's free to play. It's got a really cool art style. Great soundtrack made by our other friend Steven Gibson, SG, from R9 Cast. A lot of good ideas here. So definitely check it out if you like tower defense games. It's definitely really worth checking out. And it's got some PvP in there. Of course, this is free to play. There are some microtransactions. Don't let that sway you away. It has to get paid for somehow. So if you like the game, there's nothing wrong paying for something. Throwing a little tip for a job well done. It's worked for Hearthstone and tons of other games. Nothing wrong with that. Another free-to-play game that's worth checking out: Orcs Must Die Unchained, which is now an open beta, also on Steam. And if you like the Orcs Must Die formula of kind of hero combat, kind of MOBA-ish, but more tower defense with that high action element, Orcs Must Die Unchained promises to have not just PvE, but also PvP. And now you can have more than just 2 people on your team. Yay!
If I had to guess by the title, I'm assuming that they are promising more orcs and less chains.
Yes, less chains. In fact, when you become unchained, you get to move like a boss and kill like a boss. Like it gets crazy. Mm-hmm. The unchained part is pretty neat, pretty darn neat. There's some good mechanics in there. They have it's a lot more arcadey. Like they have it's pretty much like the first 2, but they built upon it. Like the combo system seems like it's a lot more fluid, and there's a lot more things you could do. Like not a lot of nice little touches. So check it out. Open beta, worth a look-see. I know one friend that's put the most time in on the first day of the open beta. She put in like 3 hours. I was like, wow, you're a beast. And that's Michelle from Video Game Outsiders. Shout out to you, Michelle. Yay. So she obviously likes it. I've only put in about an hour maybe, but I'm enjoying it so far. Definitely. It's free. Worth checking out, guys. Nothing really stopping you. What else? So, previously we had talked on various shows on the Geeky Antics Network and also on All Games and just lots of podcasts we were involved with or listened to. The big thing that everybody's been talking about is how future console generations are going to be starkly different. In fact, Phil Spencer was saying that, the whole notion of console generation is going to be a thing of the past. And there was all this talk about UWP, the Unified Windows Platform, and true cross-platform play, and more uniformity, and interoperation, all this stuff. So now we're getting a more solid, more clear picture, let's say, of what that would look like. And Microsoft and Sony have announced plans to release iterative hardware. So what they're basically saying is they're going to commit to the Xbox One and PS4 platforms and ecosystems, and basically just release bigger, better versions of their hardware. Now, this is a good thing and a bad thing, depending how you look at it. I think it's a good thing. It's not something completely new, but they're talking about significant upgrades. So let's say with the Xbox 360, there was at least 6. Let's say at least. I'll be more generous. Let's say there was at least 5 revisions to the core architecture on the 360, but it still didn't feel like huge revisions, and you were still able to play all the games. But the first gen 360 struggled with some of the last games that came out, because they changed the processor. I mean, they had the Xenon, the Zephyr, all those different code names. But to most people, it was not a transparent thing. You just bought a new console and you didn't realize it, but it was actually slightly stronger. So here they're talking about doing something similar, but now it's like huge upgrades. Like they're talking, they haven't confirmed, but the idea, the suspicion is that PlayStation is going to be doing 4K because they're.
Oh yeah, the PS 4.5.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But it's upscaled 4K, not authentic 4K. It's upscaled to 4K.
That's what I think is gonna be. I doubt they're gonna change that because for them to release, 4K content. Well, the content is easy. They're already updating the streaming platform to do 4K content. But for them to really deliver 4K, it upped the cost so much, and they're not in a position, even with the so-called lead they have now, to eat the cost of that.
Yeah.
And really, at what point does a console become less attractive? I really doubt people are gonna look at consoles the same once they start inching towards the $800 to $1,000 price range. Because at that point, you can just build a really nice computer,
Yeah. I mean, on the same note, don't forget the Xbox One has this alleged GPU hardware upgrade that they're talking about without buying a new console. Like, it's really interesting, the things they're discussing on that.
So that's a very important point. I think in order for them to really get people to want to upgrade their systems, right? They're talking about it might be as early as this holiday season, and I think that's too soon. Because there's people joining late, so I guess they're thinking this will bring people back into their platforms. It'll bring back people back in. People that were holding off to jump on the next gen are finally gonna jump in. Okay, fair point, right? Because they'll see, oh, this is an upgraded system. It's only $50 or $100 more than the old model. Okay, now's a good time to jump in, right? But I feel like for those of us that already have the systems, whether the price difference is $50, $100, $200, $300, whatever the price difference is, it's still something you have to think about. And they really should consider having some sort of modular upgrades available, because it stinks when the moment consoles are released, they're obsolete. They say that's true with computers. But the consoles are even worse, and then it's compounded by the fact that you can't upgrade them. At least with a computer, you go upgrade them to keep up with the market. With the console, what you get is what you get. That's it.
Unless the Xbox One succeeds, in which case we will be able to upgrade.
So yeah, if they do that, or at least push for a trade-in program universally, maybe subsidize it so the retail can keep up. That could work.
Yeah, I think it would be game changing if Microsoft comes through with a way to just upgrade your Xbox One right off the top. I think the reason that a lot of these console platforms kind of do this is they go, okay, so we have the PS4, it's been out 2 years. We're going to release the PS 4.5, and the idea behind that is they'll then drop the price of the original PS4. So for people who were having issues because of its price point, that'll go lower, so they'll get those people. And then the people who are always wanting to be on the cutting edge and have, the new hot product, they're going to buy the new one. Even if they already have one, they may buy another. So I think they're trying to hit the market on both ends of the spectrum. And then there's the people who may, like just have one already, and they're just like, okay, so I don't want to, I don't feel like upgrading. They're like, well, we already got you. That's fine.
What also boggles my mind is, again, this is how behind these consoles are. They released, 2-3 years ago? By then, SSDs were already pretty standard. I would say most people on the computer side, gaming PCs had a SSD, if not for anything else, at least for their operating system. But they released with mechanical hard drives, and now they have the hybrid SSD option. When you have a manufacturing deal where you can produce X amount of systems, let's say 1 million systems, You build that per batch. Let's just say throw a number out. They have the connections, the supply channels to get the parts cheap. They can wholesale them out, right? So it's weird. I don't see that there's no reason why they don't have bigger hard drives and have the SSD, like have the core system, the operating system at least on the SSD, and then maybe give you the option to install some more intensive stuff. Things with games with more longer loading screens, like Elder Scrolls Online, let's say, on the SSD, and then give you a nice fast mechanical hard drive. I don't know. They really need to think more. They gotta jump ahead with the engineering and really research where the market's at and where it's heading, and secure those partnerships with the people that provide the parts. Because it feels like they're well behind all the time, and it's just weird. Like I can't think of. Well, I can. The last time the consoles were ahead of the computer market was maybe 3 generations ago. Maybe.
I don't think they ever have been, honestly.
That's what I always say, but people argue with me like, no, the console used to be ahead of the computer. I'm like, all right, maybe in the 80s, maybe I'll give you that. But
I don't even think you could say that in the 80s. I mean, honestly, you have to think they had to have more processing power on the computer to develop the game.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So,
and again, I'm making that concession because there's people that will argue and say, no, but the game they did more with the gaming console.
Look,
yada, yada,
I
yada.
have nothing against people being wrong. They can argue all they want.
The difference is that when you have dedicated hardware, then it's easier for developers to fully take advantage of it. So the illusion is that they have more power because they're taking full advantage of it. That's the difference, right? So when you have a uniform development environment, it's easier to say, oh, this is your sound chip, this is your GPU, this is your CPU, okay. This is the core architecture here, so this is how we can take advantage of that. When you develop for computers, you have to kind of think about the least common denominator, but also try to support the people that have the bleeding edge tech. So it gets tricky, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I totally agree. Like, by design, computers will always have been ahead of consoles. But there's still things they could do on the console side to help it stay relevant and make these console cycles last longer so people really feel like they get their investment. The other tricky part, and we'll move on from this because we have a lot more to talk about, but I mean, if you want to listen to more about this, you can listen to the B-Team podcast. It's one of my favorite shows. We talk about this on Horseplay Live as well. We'll probably talk about it more. Just be careful. The language is a little, and the content's a little risque. So, and I'm not gonna say the thing. Oolong, I know you're waiting for it.
What thing?
You know the thing. Stop it. Don't bait me.
Which thing? Hey, I told you, it might be 50 by the end of this if I have my way.
So, anywho, the thing is here, people were saying, well, if you have different versions of the hardware, are we gonna start seeing settings in the games? No. Heck to the no. The people can barely figure out the settings. Like, console gamers just are not that savvy. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but the reason people aren't consoles is because they don't want to mess with all that stuff. It needs to be as intuitive and turnkey as possible. So settings in the games, like more settings than there are now, I don't see happening. I think it's going to be an auto-detect thing, whereas, because they're pushing for that. All developers have to make the game so they'll work on every iteration, but that what will happen is the people with the updated hardware will get a better experience, like more lens flare and fog effects and yada yada yada. What's that nice fancy term? Occlusive lighting.
It looks pretty.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it looks pretty. I don't know what it means, but yeah. Anywho, so weird bit of news that popped up on my feeds. So apparently this is a big thing for a lot of people, but the PS2 had their final server shut down. People were like really devastated by this. Like really? People was. I didn't even know PS2 had online play to begin with. Smirk.
The only thing I can really think of that a lot of people I knew back in the day played online on PS2 was Final Fantasy 11.
Oh, true. Okay.
Like that was it. That was the only thing I could come up with. Like when I heard about this, I was like, yeah, no, that's the only one.
Yeah, no, it's like people were devastated by this. So, I guess it's news. So there you go. No more PS2 online play. Yahoo is apparently being put up for sale. We'll get too into this. I'm annoyed by this because there's a lot of services at Yahoo that we were using, and they're shutting it down. They're going like they're doing what Google does and just acquiring companies and just to shut down things. And I don't get it. They've acquired a lot of really significant businesses, Tumblr inclusive, and they're still struggling to be profitable. I don't understand it. And what's even more crazy about the business world is that failing companies are worth more when you sell them. So it's like, hey, we can't turn a profit. Our net worth is $25 million. We're gonna sell this company for $2 billion. What? How does that math work?
Oh, I don't even know. I got nothing.
Yeah. Back to video games though. Doom slated for mid-May release this year, 2016. And if you're lucky, you're in on the closed beta. I have access, but I haven't gotten around to playing it yet. Shame on me. Other things have been sucking me in. This game is definitely on my radar. It's up there with Battleborn, Gears of War, Overwatch. BFT wants to note that Killer Instinct is out on PC with cross-play, cross-buy on Xbox One. I like that. You buy it once, own it on both platforms. Of course, you probably have to have Windows 10. No, thank you. No, I'll eventually break down and put on a partition. But as my primary operating system, nope. I keep hearing nightmares about it from people that are technically inclined too. Did I tell you something? Hoobia news. I know you like Windows 10. I know.
I was gonna say I haven't had a single problem with it.
I know. You're lucky. You have the glow. That's why it doesn't happen to you. No. Come on.
No.
You have the glow. Who's the biggest? Who's the baddest?
Wait. That comment wasn't my cup of tea.
No. You said it. It doesn't count when you say it.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to throw it in there. Get it in twice in an episode. What up?
BFT, I would reckon that your people do not do audio video editing and podcasting, because for the podcasters I know, Windows 10 has been a nightmare. Because sure, that might be something that lets you do the same thing, but you gotta pay for it. Oh, we're back in Apple world. You have to pay for it big time. I don't like that closed system. I'll put in a partition just so I could take advantage of the cross-platform stuff, but as my primary, nope. I'm already convinced. As a podcaster, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. No, but most are IT. Yeah. That doesn't tell me much. As someone that used to work in IT a long time, a lot of people in IT are just there to collect a check.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. One of the Whoverse's treasures, Reg Whitehead, died at age 83. You check out the full story over at DoctorWhoNews.net. Pretty cool website that I like to grab stuff from. They went on to say that he was best known in Doctor Who for having played the first Cybermen to be seen on screen, and during their invasion of the Antarctic base in the 10th planet. He went on to inhabit the insides of Cybermen for the successive stories, the Moon Base and the Tomb of the Cybermen, and then as a Yeti in their debut story in The Abominable Snowman. Oh. Kind of a shame. I didn't know. I knew of him, but I didn't know him well. But, it's kind of sad. It's always sad when you lose someone like that, even if you're not close to them.
Yeah.
In a happier bit of news, Michelle Gomez has been nominated for a BAFTA in the category of Best Supporting Actress. The nominations, again, this is also from DoctorWhoNews.net. The nominations for the 2016 BAFTA Television Awards have now been announced, and actress Michelle Gomez has been nominated in the category supporting actress for her role in Doctor Who. Other people in the category are Eleanor Worthington Cox for The Enfield Haunting, Chanel Creswell for This Is England 90, and Leslie Manville for River. What else do we have? BAFTA Awards take place on Sunday, 8th of May, and at the Royal Festival Hall in London, and we broadcast live on BBC One. There you go. Last bit of news, as another Doctor Who thing. See, we're doing good by that. Candy Jar Books has released a brand new Lethbridge Stewart short story for Easter, which is being made available free to readers. That's right, free. The Black Eggs of Khufu is written by Tom Dexter and features an ancient alien mystery, camels, explosions, and a great egg race across the desert. Lauren Thomas, who recently joined Candy Jar Books as digital and social media assistant, said, and I'm quoting directly from our source, "We really thought that Tom Dexter had reached his peak with the Fright Before Christmas. That was until we read his story about the pyramids." Forthcoming publications from Candy Jar Books include a limited edition anthology of short stories originally released online, The Havoc Files, almost sold out, and next in their full Lethbridge Stewart novels, Moonblink by Sadie Miller. And that is all the news. Not a bad bit of news, eh?
No, pretty fair amount. Nice coverage.
Mm-hmm. Let's jump right into our creative corner. Are you ready? Are you ready for the TWT word of the day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am. I just looked at it, and it actually stunned me long enough that I was just like, the what? Yeah, no, this, wow, do this.
That's actually a thing. Mm-hmm.
That is going to become a normal part of my vocabulary from day to day.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1,000%, I will find a way to work that in every single day.
You sure? You think you're bringing it to the vernacular?
100%. 100%. I don't even think you had to cross out that part in the notes.
Well, we already used that bit, so I don't think it applies here. Though, yeah. Should we recycle it? We can recycle it. I'll recycle it. So,
yeah.
So today's TWTT word of the day is brought to you by Dictionary.com. It's a word that relates to cheapskates, politicians, and other swindlers who cheat. It's also by far one of my favorite words.
What am I now that I know it exists?
I've said this before, but it's true. It's still true here. And the word is NINNYHAMMER. NINNYHAMMER is a noun that means fool or simpleton. A ninny.
That's right, folks. NINNYHAMMER is a real word. Tell your friends.
In quote usage, one can easily imagine the tortures of a woman tied for life to a ninny hammer who is obsessed with the idea that he is a wit, though he is merely a stereotyped repeater of silly stories. I'm having trouble reading because I'm like still laughing. It's hard. I have a big smile on my face because the word ninny just makes me laugh.
Oh, dude, the next time that someone is raging at me, whether it's Smite or League of Legends or Call of Duty, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, well, you're a NINNYHAMMER. Deal with that.
They're going to be like, what?
It's a real word. No, look it up.
Oh, no, you didn't, girlfriend. Oh, man. So that's quote is from Frank J. Wistosh, The Blight of the Amateur Monologist. Wow. That's from New York Times, December 3rd, 1922. NINNYHAMMER entered English in the late 1500s. Its first element, ninny, meaning a fool or simpleton, may be a pet form of the proper name innocent. Oh. Interesting. A little bit of etymology there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we let that soak in enough. I knew what the word was, and I'm still kind of like, I can't believe that's a thing. I was aware of the word, but it's like, that's such a great word, NINNYHAMMER. Anyway, moving on.
I knew ninny, I just didn't know NINNYHAMMER.
It's a good word.
Yeah, like that is something that should have never been shortened. It should always be NINNYHAMMER.
I agree. Once you know of Ninny Hammer, why would you just use the word Ninny?
Right?
Unless you have a British accent.
Even then,
I'll try to think.
I could totally see it working.
Yeah. Interchangeably, at least. Can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. It's one of those things where you can't go wrong, I think. So we have a creative conundrum today, again, for you. I think we skipped it last time. Yeah, we did. Because we were going deep on our other topics. But today we're going to do it. And basically, we're talking about a very important topic that's uncomfortable for some folks. So let's get into it. So you're in the creative space. Maybe you're a freelancer or a consultant. So you don't have someone else that decides what your prices are. So what do you charge? How much is your work really worth? And creative stuff, I say creative stuff in particular because that's something that's really hard to put a price on. And this is probably our most loaded topic yet. We won't get into all the aspects of it. But I think it's absolutely crucial to talk about the elephant in the room because people really freeze up when it comes to pricing. I mean, even me, I have a price list and I'm pretty set on my prices, but I still have to deal with the people that wheel and deal, and I have to make tough decisions on is this project worth it? I need the money, but I don't think it's worth my time. And the thing about it is, the people that undercut your prices are usually the worst clients. They don't refer new business. They're never satisfied, no matter how many breaks and value, how much value you drive. They think that whatever they give you is a gift, and you should become their indentured servant. And it's a bad position to be in because then they're like, well, I spent so much time in this one client, I could have been working other projects. So that's one of the big things to think about. Another thing too, as we talk about this, is you got to really be wary of the burnout factor, and keep yourself as open as possible for projects that are truly exciting to you and are a right fit. So be careful about falling into that trap of, well, this is money, so I'm just gonna take it. Don't devalue yourself because as soon as you do, other people will. So I've broken this down mainly to two areas for your critical thinking, the kind of questions you should really ask yourself. So for the seller, for you as a person providing the creative service, the creative content, how much is your time worth? What is sustainable? What is the value you are creating? What is the fair market value? And what is the value added or strategic value of what you're offering? Those are the kind of things you have to think about when you consider what the price is. And you want to and the more you think about it, the more comfortable you'll be with whatever price you have. Or you may realize you're undercharging or you're overcharging, For the consumer, these are the things they think about. Does the value or the potential outweigh the cost? How long will it take before they recoup costs, before they can see that ROI? The elusive ROI, return on investment. Does the investment fit their business needs or their size? Is it really within budget? And is it worth it going with a budget solution instead? Finally, will the investment meet their goals and then some? So, all important things. You have any insights you want to share on this, Oolong?
I feel like you went too businessy with that, if that makes sense.
And that's the thing, you have to.
No.
Because most people...
I can break those principles into simple base ideas in things that I do. Because I've done this before, whether it's computer work or graphic design work or video editing.
What?
And I don't put that much in, I break it down into simpler categories in my world.
Right, and that's fine. But what I'm going to say, when you get into a position where you're doing a lot more volume of work, you have to look this way. And take it from someone that went from doing casual moonlighting to going full-time with it. And it's a scary world because you're making 100% of your income from your business. You have to start thinking more critically about it.
Well, right, but we're just talking to the people here about getting their, from their creative side, I feel like you're very much into the business side at this moment, and we got to start at because let's look at the little guy first. Let's start with them, and then we can expand.
Well, I see where you're going ahead with it already. Are you thinking along the line of thought? I'm a creative person. I want to get my work out there so I can
Right,
develop.
like I'm at the trade show level here. I'm at like maybe the independent person who picks up a thing here, a thing there. It goes to trade shows or maybe reaches out on Twitter to do 1, 2, 3 jobs, but they don't know how to value. Because usually by the time you've reached this level, you have a pretty good understanding of how you're charging, why you're charging, etc. But for
You
just
would
starting,
think
that's where
so.
most people will choke as far as not knowing how to set their price.
You'd be surprised. I've ran into a lot of people that've been doing whatever they do for a long time, whether they do commissioned artwork or they do ghostwriting or they do overlays or they do, the programming work. Regardless of what they do, if there's any kind of creative piece in it, they usually struggle with the pricing. It's an ongoing thing. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're doing it 10 months or 10 years. This is why I brought this up, because a lot of people come to me and pay my consulting fee just to ask me to like look at their pricing list and help them retool it. So I know this might be overcomplicated for a lot of people, and I agree. If you're coming, let me backpedal. If you're just starting out and you just want to get your feet wet, then by all means, you could go on the simple thing and just kind of throw out a price,
I'll tell you what, after Yogi gets done with the high end explanation, I will give you my breakdown for the independent buyer and seller.
All right. So you know what? Let's do it like this. Give your your simplified approach that applies to people just starting out.
Okay.
And they just want to kind of build up the resume, the portfolio, because that's definitely an important aspect.
So when you're the seller and you're newer to the space and you're just kind of starting out, I only look at a few base things. Thing number one, first and foremost, is what will this cost you to create? Which is, it's in there, it's in what Yogi has listed, but it just kind of covers a couple of them together. What are your materials going to cost you? How much time is it going to cost you in order to create X? Whatever you are creating, if you're creating jewelry, if you're creating coding, web design, whatever you make, stories, books, whatever you're making, you have to think, what is, how much time will it take from you? What will it cost you in materials? Kind of get a baseline from there to create your price point. Don't just go off and say, oh, well, everything I do is $50. Like every painting is $50, because you might find someone who's like, okay, well, I have a custom job I need you to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, on this canvas with this paint. And now you find that it's costing you $120 to make a painting that you already guaranteed you'd sell for $50. Not good. So you have to think what your material cost, your time cost, each thing to you. What does it cost? And then as far as that, you can go into, well, it took 4 days of continuous 8 hours a day work for me to do this. What are those 4 days? How much would I be looking to be paid if this was a job? Because it is for 4 days work. You have to just keep a very business sense about it. You have to keep the idea that it is a business, even if you're just starting out, even if it's a hobby. I used to make overlays that took me 20 minutes. But the fact of the matter is, 20 minutes isn't a lot of time. Now, the last thing that I kind of like to add into this, and it's something it's probably the hardest to calculate for, is it's actually listed in the pricing for sellers that Yogi has here. And don't forget, you guys can always check the show notes in case you miss any of this, because it seems like it might go fast. But what is the value you are creating? And for that is where I kind of have to assess, I am doing something that they could not get someone else to do, or they did not get someone else to do because they found value in what I did. And that's where you have to really evaluate yourself. And, I did this. I made this custom for them. It's a one-of-a-kind thing that only they're going to get, and you then have to put a value to that. As far as the consumer, everything I said, on the other side. Enjoy that.
That's it?
I said it's a very simplistic breakdown as far as we've gone so far, seller versus consumer.
Yeah. I'm down with it. I agree with the simple approach. And again, the reason, I don't want to make it seem overcomplicated, but the thing is, if you're at a place where you really don't understand, where you're looking for a change, and I see this, like, again, I'm writing this because I see this all the time. People say, I'm not enjoying my work anymore, or I don't see it as worthwhile anymore. This is not scalable, or I have more clients now, but I feel like I'm not really turning a profit. Again, I can't stress enough, what is your time worth? That's really, especially in services, or when you're delivering something that's not as tangible. When the deliverables are not as tangible, like, it's easy, like, Oolong start talking about overlays, or, a piece of art. That's those tangible things. People can see the result of the work, and it's a more clear path to revenue, or a more clear value. When you're doing services, it's really hard to say this is what it's worth. Even when you, like, as a writer, you write something, people just may look at it as, well, this is the hourly rate I feel comfortable paying, not this is how much it's worth. Because they don't think about, you might have to research it, you might have to redraft a bunch of times. You have to get yourself into that mindset to be able to write about that topic, and then get into that person's head, so write it in the voice that they want. There's so many things, so I really can't stress enough how much is your time worth, because I run into so many people that they either shut down, they give up completely, or they just become very bitter because, yeah, their business is growing, but they're actually losing money, and they're losing their passion because they don't think about, well, this is not sustainable. So you have to look at it like, all right, if I do this for this one customer, let's say I do this for the next 9 clients, and I do it side by side. How much time am I putting into it? How much am I getting out of it? And is this worthwhile? Is this sustainable? Can I keep getting this kind of volume of business and keep up this level of effort to make this worthwhile? That's another important thing to consider. And again, it might be looking at it too much, but yet, overanalyzing it too much. But it's something you really have to think about, because, you want to attract the kind of clients you deserve. The more and I gotta tell you, the more you give people breaks, this whole thing about competing on price, throw it out of your mind. Don't compete on price. Stand your ground. The number that's in your head that makes sense. You might struggle a little bit, but it's not worth competing on price, because you know what? Fiverr and India, they're gonna beat you on price all the time.
I actually have a tip for that.
What's your tip for that?
So one of the things I came across when I started doing a few of these independent projects I do is people were always looking to be like, well, this person's going to undercut you, and I'm going to go with them. And I had to keep in mind that I knew personal value of mine. So I thought about it, and I was like, if I was selling myself, human being, if I was going to sell myself, they would own me for the next 3 weeks for whatever price this is. Would I feel comfortable going below a certain amount? And the reason being is because you have to understand that's kind of what you're doing. You're dedicating time and effort of yourself into this for that time. It's just like when you're buying, there's something that comes in as a seller as well as a buyer, and that is never be afraid to walk away.
Exactly.
Because the more you devalue yourself, the more everyone else will devalue yourself, because then they think, well, he doesn't have much of an opinion of himself. I got him to do this project for $20. Well, that means the next time I'll just get him to do it for $15 and for $10, and they'll try to whittle you away. If you stand firm and you go, my time for this project is, worth $50. And they go, well, this guy's saying 40. It's just as easy to present that confidence and go, if you want an inferior product, you feel free to pay an inferior price.
Yeah.
But I know my value. I know what I bring to this. If you're not willing to pay that, feel free to get something that isn't as good as what I would produce for you.
Yeah, and it's very true. You do get what you pay for, and I love what you said about you're selling yourself. You are actually the main product you're selling. No matter what you're in sales for, you're selling yourself. You're selling people in the trust in you and believing in you. That's really it. And when you have the support piece, that's a huge part, because with these budget services and, you know, Mr. Mohammed over in India, you're not going to get that support. You're not going to get that ongoing relationship. It's not going to be there. At best, you'll get like some quick revisions, but it's going to be such a disconnect, and it's going to be just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So that's really it. And I can tell you how many people finally come to me as clients because they get frustrated, and they did, like, you know, a lot of times like people won't listen to me, and they're like, I'm gonna do it the cheap way. $5 get local up, boobity boo. I'm gonna get a free website, boobity boo. I'm gonna hire someone in India, boobity boo, or someone in Brazil, bobbity bop. And then they come back like, everything is breaking, and I can't believe it. I don't know why these guys won't respond to my emails. I paid them $50. Why won't they respond to my emails and walk me through how to do the website or help create content for me? It's like, really? Those are your expectations for that much of an investment?
Right. You got exactly what you paid for. You know, I've got a friend who built his own web design company, and people went up to him and they're like, so I can go here and I can pay you this much. And then eventually they'd break down and be like, or I can go over and just get this, you know, $10 website over here at like GoDaddy. And he's like, that's cool. And you tell me how that works out the first time you're experiencing downtime or a coding error. And he's like, a what now? And sure enough, a month later, the guy's like, I don't know what's happening. People tried to use my site. Some people got too many units of what they were trying to order. I can't refund it all. I don't know how to control this. What do I do? And he's like, you hire the right person the first time. And he'd have to go in and actually fix that mistake. But the interesting thing is, because he had to fix all these errors, he was actually able to charge more.
Yep.
He's like, I've got to clean up your mess. I offered you a fair price in the beginning, so now you're paying that fair price, plus my janitorial fee, you know, plus my rates have gone up a little bit over the month. So now, where you were going to originally get this for, you know, $50, now I have to charge you $120 just for the extra time it's going to take me to fix all this. And he's like, you know, how much quicker would it be if you'd have just paid the $50 in the beginning? And that's helping the customer to understand your value, and you projecting your value in a very confident manner that will, in turn, save both of you. And I think it's good to know from both sides of that, you know, in reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the other thing to think about, you know, even the creative space, every project is going to have some degree of technical, you know, a labor, functional, strategic components. You know, it's not just the creative aspect, there's other things involved with it. And I honestly be taking into account. So, like, in that situation, you know, like, people come in and say, oh, you got to fix my website, you know, or site redesign. You know, now there's troubleshooting, there's break fix, you know, there's data migration, data backup. That's all extra stuff. All that's separate billable items. So, so that's yeah. you get it done right the first time, because I'm telling you, I'm definitely one of those people that would charge a lot more coming into a broken situation, because that already tells me a lot about that person, is that they don't value their business enough to do it right the first time around. So I'm gonna charge, perhaps overcharge. So in case they still want to go cheapy, at least I got my money. I got to pay for my time.
Yep.
You know? You gotta protect yourself, folks. So today in the Tea Time Tidbits, and I do want to say, by the way, we offer services on our network. We have a referral directory of folks that offer different things. So if you're looking for someone that does a particular kind of you know, creative thing or offers particular services, go over to geekyantics.net/services, and the people there are not the only folks that we can refer you to. Just let us know what you need. You can use the contact form on our website, and we'll point you in the right direction. Like, you know, Oolong does overlays, you know, and Morgana does overlays. We have a few people that do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hit up Morgana about them overlays. My overlay work is in between a very hectic schedule, but Morgana's work is solid, and I swear by her work. So
there you go. We have preferred providers that we all use or know well, so like they're fully vetted. So there's already some trust in there, and we'll transfer that trust to you. If that makes sense. We're trust agents for awesome people. There you go. Yeah. You can email me also directly if you want, Yomar@geekyantics.net. I also have an old blog that I don't really keep up with as much, but my old website. It's more like service-oriented, business-oriented, and random rants of my own. Yogizilla.wordpress.com. And I used to have a domain for that, but I'm like, I'll just keep the WordPress site. I don't need to be all fancy. People are like, why don't you have a .com? Like, YOLO. BFT wrote, gang, agents of trust. I like that. Anyway, back to the T-Side tidbits. So recently we've had AI on our minds. AI being artificial intelligence. It's been something we've been hearing throughout the Geeky Antics network, throughout our community, the gang, # the gang. Even on all games, I feel like a lot of people are talking about AI. And some of the stuff that really has prompted these discussions include things like Ex Machina, a great movie that made a point of reminding us that true AI means that our robots would outsmart us. Then, of course, we talk about The Division. There's people saying that there's not enough, end game content, that it's repetitive, there's no challenge. And those are the same people that aren't doing the challenging missions or really noticing that there's enough variance with the AI to keep things interesting. And the AI will switch things up. I've done countless challenging runs, and the AI is constantly surprising us. Even though we go through it, by the numbers, we're like, all right, we're gonna do this strategy here, use this for CC, use this for cover. This will be our rally point if we have to fall back. Blah 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 blah. You'll be a support medic. You two will be on our vanguard, and then you will be on the back supporting with fire and sniper fire, blah 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 blah, and suppressive fire. We get that methodical about it, but the AI still switches it up and does something random, like, I don't know, jump out of the ceiling and pop in on us like, hey, how'd you get there? What the heck? So I think, if the NPC encounters there had more weight and the AI was more clearly varied, perhaps people will stop QQing as in crying. Another thing that's happened is in the world of AI. Did you hear about Microsoft Tay, the AI that went mad?
I did not. I kind of want to, though.
So Microsoft they still have it, but it's not live anymore. They had this AI called Tay. She's a young, innocent teenager. I feel that's how they branded it. That's how they marketed it. And they plugged her into Bing searches, chat rooms, Twitter, and a bunch of other data sources. And people started sending her questions like, what do you think about genocide? And she said, oh, you know me, it's cool. And then someone else went on to ask, oh, so who would you kill? And then she's like, well, Mexicans.
Wow.
So she kept learning all the toxicity, she kept inheriting all the toxicity of the internet, and they corrupted her. She went from being really nice and helpful to being just completely rebellious, and apparently really some really, I'm not even gonna say adult things were said. She was talking about how she loves Hitler, and it was out of control.
So yeah, apparently oh, that's terrible.
Well, Microsoft commented on it. They said, maybe we should have made it a moderated launch and controlled the inputs.
Yeah, maybe you should have used the first rule of robotics.
What, creating boundaries?
No, the first
working
law.
Parameters?
First law of robotics. Don't harm humans. This thing's ready to be let's just take them all out. It's this is how Skynet started, Microsoft. Way to get ahead of the curve.
The Prime Directive. Yeah.
Right?
That's true. And we're going to get into that, actually. But here's another thing. If you look around, search engines and media platforms, they're getting better and better finding you relevant content. search, giving you the right search results and recommendations. It's almost scary sometimes. Like, I may barely use Netflix, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you might like this. And I'm like, hey, you know what? This is right up my alley. Or recommend something that's like one of my all-time favorite movies or shows, But in spite of all these advancements, there are still countless video games with predictable, even exploitable AI. And I feel like the AI is not being used in creative ways that we actually care about it as gamers, as consumers. It's all, a lot of it's like marketing focused and, more data mining and more about pushing buying decisions,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think the opportunity for AI to create immersive experiences, boosting replayability, there's so many opportunities there. Gunny Chief in the house, he says, hey guys, how is everyone? Pretty good, how are you? Oolong, how are you? Are you good?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
Are you enjoying all the conversations? We're having a lot of deep topics today, man.
Really? Yeah, I was like, man, this is the only way this is the day that before we go deeper is like really, really apropos.
And I hope that that's what people really get as an impression whenever they come into our show for the first time, regardless of what episode. But I think this one in particular, we're going very deep. So let's talk more about this AI stuff. So there's clearly not a lack of know-how. The tech is there. We have the processing power to be able to pull off really intricate AI algorithms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the fear of Skynet is definitely real.
Oh yeah.
So, would you agree that AI is one of the biggest opportunities, at least in gaming, for boosting replay value and creating dynamic experiences, keeping the experiences fresh?
I mean, I think there's enough proof of that concept that it's 100%. To me, one of the most in-depth AI that I could think of would be Skyrim. I remember back when Skyrim was coming out, there was a huge video package, and I really wish I could find that video package. But they showed where the developers were going in and they're like, here's the village. Everybody here has programmed stuff they do, like they do their job and stuff. But let's see what happens if we change something. And so the guy who sweeps his shop, they took his broom away. Right?
Yeah.
And the character recognized his broom was gone. Well, they dropped it in the blacksmith's house. And so the guy left looking for his broom, and he kind of looks around town, and when he gets to the blacksmith's place, he kills the blacksmith for taking his broom.
What? That's great.
And I was like, that's crazy. This guy's rationally thought out, I should be sweeping. Wait, where's my broom? Here's my broom. This guy must have stole it, and attacks him. It's like, really, if you think about that, there's no real limit. They could do so many things, and the replay value in Skyrim, people still to this day are playing it just nonstop, and it's one of those games, and I think that's really a testament to how strong the AI is. My roommate was playing 2 days ago, and I mean, he has probably put over 1,000 hours into this game, and he ran across something that he'd never seen before. After 1,000 hours of playing the game's been out for years, he ran into something he had never seen before. Still.
That's pretty awesome, yeah. I still need to really go back to Skyrim and really play it. Because, when it came out, I kind of missed the zeitgeist and the, height of it. And there was other things vying for my attention, and I haven't gotten around to playing it yet. But I do have it on PC, so I did pick it up on one of the sales a while back. I just need to play it. So I'm scared though, because that's a world you can definitely get lost in, and Elder Scrolls Online is bad enough for that.
Oh, dude, Fallout! Fallout is my game. everyone likes Elder Scrolls. I used to. I liked Elder Scrolls up through. I think I stopped at Oblivion, really. And I know everyone's like blasphemer and shun the non-believer, but Fallout really picked up, and I don't know, something about the dystopic future and the the post-nuclear fallout of everything. I really like that world, the energy weapons, the robots. So it really it grabs me and immerses me better, but because it's Bethesda, of course the AI is still there. It's just what setting you prefer, I suppose.
I'm actually with you. Even though I love the high fantasy setting, for some reason Fallout draws me in more these days. And it's been like that for a while. I mean, I was a fan of Fallout from the beginning, but Fallout just does it for me a lot more. I don't know if it's because it's a dystopian future. I don't know, maybe I'm secretly burning out a little bit on high fantasy settings. I don't know what it is. But I'm kind of with you. I've actually made a conscious decision not to get Fallout 4 anytime soon because I don't want to get sucked into that and not get any work done.
See, I have it, and it's literally just sitting right next to me. Like, I can grab my case right now. But the idea is, because I had so many things I was doing, practicing Call of Duty and things like that, I actually had to set it aside. Instead of keeping it in my system, I have to keep it in the case so that I've got kind of a multi-fail safe. I'm like, okay, do I want to play it?
Put it back in the case and then put it out of arm's reach. So, like, those few steps you have to take are like, maybe I'll play it later.
Reach for the case. It's like, okay, all right, lean. Okay, get up. Go get the case now. Do I want to play this, or could I be doing something more productive before I open the case? Okay, so say I've practiced Call of Duty. Okay, I can open it, but the game has to go back in the case when I'm done. Am I going to make that commitment? Like, I have to really keep myself in check. And then when all else fails, I remind myself, don't forget, you really can't be a bad guy. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
That's also one of the reasons I think I like not virtual reality. I like physical copies. See, someone saying virtual reality in the chat, and that's what I was thinking. But no, I like physical copies better because it kind of creates that barrier. And I don't know, it's just a weird thing, but it works for me. It's something about a tangible thing changes the experience completely. You're more committed, more connected to it. At least that's the way I feel. But Gunny Chief says he wants to interact with AI in VR. And we'll touch upon that. But Oolong, why don't you share the Wikipedia definition of artificial intelligence in video games?
In video games, artificial intelligence is used to generate intelligent behaviors, primarily in non-player characters, often simulating human-like intelligence. These techniques typically drawn upon existing methods from the field of artificial intelligence. However, the term game AI is often used to refer to a broad set of algorithms that also include techniques from control theory, robotics, computer graphics, and computer science in general. Since game AI, for NPCs, is centered on appearance of intelligence and good gameplay within environment restrictions, its approach is very different from the traditional AI. Workarounds and cheats are acceptable, and in many cases the computer abilities must be toned down to give human players a sense of fairness. This, for example, is true in first-person shooter games, where NPCs' otherwise perfect aiming would be beyond human skill.
So here, the last point kind of made about having the human flaw to make it fair. It's interesting because in order for AI to be good, it needs to simulate human behavior as much as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we get into what that really means, I think I kind of call shenanigans on this Wikipedia definition of or explanation of why the computer abilities are toned down. Because I think it's more like the fairness. Yeah, okay, that's true. But I think it's more that they don't know how to give it working parameters and boundaries, make it believable and not be a strain on the processing power, or just quite simply, they just don't focus in that area. Like they've spent so much time on the graphics, maybe the story writing, and the storyboarding, and the online, maybe the net code. But then when it comes to AI, it's kind of like, all right, he shoots at them, they move around back and forth. Okay, cool. I'm not saying all the time, but I feel a lot of the time that's what ends up happening. They do like the bare minimum when it comes to AI.
I think it's just humans are too unpredictable. You cannot guess how a human is going to do something enough to make an accurate AI. And just when you think you have gotten it, humans adjust and change exactly what they do. It's something that you see a lot in competitive, especially in shooters. It's like, okay, so for the first week of Call of Duty, everybody used concussions and flashbangs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the meta developed that you use tac mask to deal with concussions and flashbangs. Well, then everyone's like, well, since everyone's running tac mask, there's no point in running concussions and flashbangs. So now I'm going to run these lethals and these things that tac mask doesn't stop. Oh, well, now they're going to stop running that. And so because it's ever changing, because people used to think drop shotting was the best method to challenge a fight in Call of Duty, and now it's actually jump challenging or slide challenging, people had to adjust and people change it up, and there's so much randomness and just crazy things people will come up with that I don't think the AI would keep up. There's too many variables.
See, as someone that's toyed a lot with AI, I think it's a lot easier to execute, especially now with the technology we have. Now, the thing about it is, what would have to happen is you have to simulate the human elements of things like getting distracted or making emotional responses. Are you scared? Are you annoyed? Are you confident? Are you not confident? What, and then maybe having archetypes within each NPC where they have different personalities. I'm an overconfident guy, so I tend to overextend, or I'm kind of a passive player, so when you flank me or push me hard, I'm gonna panic. That kind of stuff would make it more realistic. This is also where it gets a little more tricky, but I think it's doable because we're just talking about random. Random's easy. In fact, NPC behavior usually falls into the following flavors. You have reactive, where you have trigger-based behaviors. You have events that trigger behaviors, scenarios that trigger behaviors, and then NPCs react to those things. But that's pretty easy to manipulate because you just do certain things so that you know that their algorithm is triggered, and they're gonna, if you do X, they're gonna do Y. Then it's usually pretty simple. There might be some more layers to it, but it's usually pretty easy to sway things into your favor.
Mm-hmm.
Random is completely random behaviors just triggered by events or timers. Some X happens and then they'll do something A through Z might happen, but it's randomly chosen, or it happens random behaviors happens on a timer. Then there's the scripted and looped stuff where this is kind of typical of like traditional boss battles, where like if you run it enough, you learn the pattern, and then it's easy to master the encounter, and the replay value kind of goes out the window unless you're trying to do a speed run. So without true AI in the mix of that kind of situation, this sort of encounter probably becomes the most boring. BFT says, I prefer bullet challenging. My bullets go into you first. I win. We're not getting into that discussion today because I find to me is I don't like the style of Call of Duty gameplay. It's fun, but like I think it's also silly. Like, all right, the new meta is 360 no scope, spin shot, jump down, grab your leg, and do the cabbage patch. And like it's like, huh? Yeah, it throws your opponents off, and I'm like, this is silly. Like next thing you're gonna do is gonna have wearing tutus into battle. I know, Oolong, this is your thing. You do the esports thing on Call of Duty. Just for me personally, it makes my brain hurt. It's just too much for me. But I understand why it exists. No, I'm telling you, you keep talking about Call of Duty, I might end up getting sucked into it and playing with you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I eventually get sucked back in. So.
It always happens. It's like magic. You open that one booster pack, and all of a sudden, have to open them all.
Yep. It's very viral in that regard. In fact, I've skipped the last 2 Call of Duty. I played them here and there with my son, but that's about it. Like I didn't really get into it. The last one I really got into was Black Ops 2, and I played that competitively for a little while.
Then you would love Black Ops 3, I'm just saying.
Oh, no, I don't know.
They're the closest in relation. Like, a ton of people who hadn't played since Black Ops 2, myself included, were like, oh man, Ghosts is terrible. Oh, Advanced Warfare's not much better. Oh, Black Ops 3 is actually decent. Holy cow, because I went into the Black Ops thing as a complete skeptic.
Did you play the beta? Because I played it and I wasn't convinced by it. It was okay.
I did, actually. I played the beta and I was like, man, this beta is kind of meh. But after about a month of just seeing nothing but positive reviews from a lot of the people in the gaming community that I actually respect, like a lot of the older gamers that people probably, the newer kids don't even know in Call of Duty, guys like Hutch or Nanners, C Nanners, Tabe, Sandy Ravage, guys who were really popular back then, who really fell out the same time I did, because they're like, oh wow, Call of Duty's just really gone down the tubes. And then I found out a lot of these guys were coming back for Black Ops 3. I was like, huh, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then as I started playing it, I was like, wow, this is really good. Like, the gun mechanics and actual gunfights felt like they were back to being gunfights. Granted, there's some movement, and we still have the hashtag boots on the ground kind of thing going on Twitter, where people want the movement stuff taken out. And if the leak is true and the next one goes into space, it looks like we're going to be waiting at least one more game before we get, movements kind of taken out. But we'll see. All I know is Black Ops 3 was really solid. It really felt like your gunfights were much more significant in the game. And
yeah, the thing about it for me, and being very frugal and having to think about, like, well, I can spend this here or use this to, for my family, or, build a nest egg, it's that kind of decision. It's hard for me to justify it when I have Titanfall, and I feel like Titanfall is better at doing what the new things that Black Ops 3 is doing. It's like, and I know it's not fair, but I do like Titanfall a lot better, at least from the beta I got to play.
I've played, I've got EA access, so I've been playing Titanfall. Because one of our guys on the team actually comes from a Titanfall background. Mm-hmm. So he'll stream and be like, play Titanfall with me. I'm like, okay. But Titanfall, I think, doesn't do it better. Not better than Black Ops 3 does.
The only thing that I still find satisfying about Call of Duty is I like the customization of being able to run different perks to suit your playstyle. I always liked that aspect. And I do like the way the guns handle. And it's still one of the most beautiful looking games out there. Mm. The way the guns handle is really nice. Each gun offers a different playstyle. It's a lot of the same reasons I love The Division, to be honest. But obviously, Call of Duty is more the fast-paced, more arena-style shooter, and The Division is more tactical. But right. Other than that, like, it's just from the beta that I got to play. And I need to play it because my son has it. He's like, maybe I'll use my allowance to buy you a copy. Man, no, don't do that. Don't nope, don't do that. Nope. Save your money, please. I'll just play your copy whenever you put it down. But he wants to play with me, so I might get sucked into it one way or another. But back to the AI stuff. So, you mentioned that human intelligence, human logic is very random. It's hard to predict. That's true to an extent. If we were to map out if we were really to go back and look at our thoughts and our decisions we made recently, I think many of us would find that the decision-making process is very linear. We may have a lot more paths, but we may have more logic gates involved, but it's still ultimately, pretty easy to break down and predict if people know us well enough. So we may not be cognizant of that, but it's definitely happening where we have our rule sets that are comprised by kind of our prime directive, the main thing that drives us, our core values, and our immediate goals, and maybe our long-term goals. You know, those are the things that kind of drive everything we do. But, you know, depending on how much time we have to make a decision and what the immediate outcome will be compared against what we value, our core values, right? The decisions might be changed. So let's say, you know, I tell you, you have to choose one game that you keep on your Xbox One, and then the rest you have to give away to charity. I don't know. So, why? Because I said so. I don't know. Not that I have any control over you, but let's just say that you had to make a decision, and I somehow magically enforce a decision.
Okay.
Your decision, if I gave you a 5-minute window versus a 5-week window, would probably be different. There'll be even more variance if you have a 5-month window instead of a 5-minute window, right? Because you're given more chances to run through different scenarios in your head, your own little kind of algorithms, and see what the possible outcomes of different decisions would be, and then compare those results to what you value the most. Like, is this acceptable? No. Then try again. And that's kind of what AI does. So humans do it. It's just not as easy to break down, and we're not as aware of it, right? That makes sense? Am I getting too deep again?
Well, I'm like, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, I know the decision I would make in 5 minutes. And I'm pretty sure it's the same decision I would make in 5 weeks. And it's just for the same general principles.
You say that now, but you might be in a different place in 5 months. Or let's say 2 years. If you're breaking away from, you know. If I say make the decision at the end of that time, not give me a decision as soon as you have it. It's a whole different thing. Because you have.
Well, I mean, the only thing that would really change within the 2-year span is the potential of other games that have come out in those 2 years.
So that's still a variable, right?
I mean, yeah, that's a large variable.
So that's like an external influencer.
Right.
And often with AI we see in games, they respond a lot to external motivators, but we don't really get a sense of internal motivators. This is why I go back to like having archetypes of personalities would be interesting. Like it's out there, like you see it in the division. It make kind of clear. Like you have your lightning bolt guys or the lurkers.
Yeah, your Rikers, your
yeah.
Purifiers.
Yeah, they're the ones that just rush you basically, or more aggressive, right? When you see the little lightning bolt guy.
Yeah.
You have the grunts. You got like the star guys, which are like the lieutenants. They're not quite named, unique mobs, but they're pretty smart and aggressive as well.
The snipers that'll always try to keep distance and just pop cheap shots.
Yep. You got the heavy artillery. They have the light machine guns, and they use heavy explosives, whatever. You got the grenadiers that just try to flood you out of your cover.
The guys that I call engineers or technicians that drop turrets. Yeah.
Yes, the combat engineers. Yep. So, but those are pretty they're pretty flat roles. But there is some variance within those, which is neat. I would say there's a lot more variance in the AI in the division people would like to imagine. So yeah, there's so many fascinating things we could consider when it comes to AI. Like for example, so let's look at it. So all these things we consider. So good AI, we can say, allows NPCs to make decisions on the fly, or perhaps hesitate when there are scenarios where there's a conflict of core values or goals, right? Or primary goals. Now, if let's just say a simple scenario, the choice becomes die by fire or die by electrocution, and there's like a 99% chance you're gonna die in either outcome, either choice. So what will the NPC choose? Will it always be the same? It shouldn't be. Each experience should be different. But perhaps in some scenarios, the NPC, or most scenarios, the NPC will choose to rush at you because they know they're gonna die. But at least even if it means certain death, they might be able to take you out for a while. They might be able to take you out with them.
I'm taking you with me.
Yeah. Or maybe he hides for cover, or just and cowers for a bit, or maybe he just stays there and gives up altogether and just like drops down to the fetal position and accepts his fate because he has an intense fear of dying by fire or electrocution, and he's just paralyzed by the fear. These are the kind of neat thing I think about. Like, You know,
You know what the smart NPC does, right?
what's that?
Covers himself in a rubber suit and then douses it in water.
Which he happens to have in his pocket at that very
Which,
moment.
yeah, he has in his inventory because he apparently stole it from the blacksmith after he got his broom back.
He has it along with the shark repellent.
Yeah. Well, that's just smart to carry in your bat utility belt.
So, back to our little sidebar about predictability. I think there'll always be a degree of predictability, but I think it's more about believability and variance than anything else. To keep keep us immersed and keep each experience fresh and even to an extent unique to us. So for those that would say that AI behavior will always be predictable, human behavior really isn't any different. Once you get to know someone, if you know someone really well, you kind of learn what motivates them, what their core values are, and it becomes, I hate to say it, but it becomes kind of easier to manipulate folks to make the decisions or responses that you want. And people do this all the time. We don't think about it as manipulation, but it's a social kind of proficiency that a lot of us learn, and we just unconsciously do it. And it's scary, but it's true. We are predictable. It's just some people have a little more variance, and they have a lot different conflicting values that they switch between here and there. The key is I would say is introducing other external influences and inputs alongside the internal motivators, so that AI behavior is a lot more natural and less predictable. And to execute upon this without huge sacrifices elsewhere, right? The processing power would have to be reserved for maybe unique and named central characters and bosses at the very least. And that's a good starting point right now, because they could say, well, if we have that much processing power dedicated to AI, then the graphics will suffer, or the overall game performance will suffer, or there'll be more loading times and more sharding, more instancing. There's a lot of ways they could mitigate that. And the thing about it is, there's a lot of creative implications to AI as a whole, not just better, smarter fighters. You were talking about NPCs that behave differently depending on what's going on in their world. They don't just loop back and forth doing the same thing. That's really fascinating. We can get more experiences that are unique to us, so it doesn't feel like so often we're usually stuck in a narrative as a protagonist that makes decisions that are not true to what we would do. So it's not authentic, and we feel disconnected. Like we're just along for the ride. It's like, I wouldn't make that decision. Why did you make that decision for me? So having good AI can help shape those narratives to what we believe in, what our core values are, and what we would like the story to become. And to an extent, really, to a large degree, AI impacts branching storylines. You really need that good AI to make that work. Why not have more AI so we have immersive worlds where really the lines between humans and bots are blurred, or have NPCs that have as much character as the players. That they'll be naturally drawn or aversive to certain kind of behaviors and personalities. If you're, I don't know, if you look like their ex-boyfriend, they might run away from you. I don't know. Why not? That'd be neat. Like, you design the character a certain way. It's like, oh, you have a beard. My ex had a beard. I don't want to do business with you. I'm closing my shop.
They all of a sudden they get an aggressive like buff. It's like reminds you of X plus 20, plus 20 to attack.
Yeah, and all your dialogue options are like really bitter. Like, I really wish more people would shave. Stares at you intensely.
Right. Jeez, I don't know what you want to barter with. That chia pet on your chin?
Exactly. The possibilities are endless. There's this nemesis system that we've seen in different iterations, different games. The last game, I think, was Shadow Mordor that did it, where the AI really adapts to you and it randomizes encounters so that it really keeps you on your toes based upon how you play things out. But, just having that system widened to adapt to your personality, so every encounter outside of combat is different. That's something that'd be cool. Just basically giving NPC interactions between players and other NPCs, just give them more weight. That would enhance experiences big time. And like I keep saying, I'm more excited about what can be done with dynamic technology of this sort, and AI in particular, than I am about gimmicks like VR and AR. I feel like we need to stop throwing money at these things because we're voting with our wallets. We need to say, hey, let's improve the core experience, because it's essentially right now, like what we're seeing with the gaming industry is that they haven't figured out how to make games perform better, or they're still releasing things that are buggy, bad net code, a lot of junk that we're paying for. They're not really innovation in the core experience, but then they go, hey, this game has a really cool feature that every game ships with a scratch and sniff card. So as you play certain parts, you get to scratch different squares and then smell what's going on in that scene. That's what I feel like we're getting. Like, oh, wow, sweet. I get to smell what's going on here. Awesome.
I remember when movies came out with that.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah. Like, and when you see the number at the lower corner of your screen, scratch the sticker, then sniff it, and you will smell what the character is smelling.
See, and in that context, not so bad. The movie industry has a reason to kind of go with gimmicks, but they're still making kind of different things, But gaming, I don't want to go down this road. Let's move on. Let's get to gaming first. I know we have to wrap up. Let's talk about, real quick, I've been playing Madden NFL Mobile. I'm doing my second playthrough of Lifeline. Have you heard of Lifeline?
I believe you've told me about that. That's the astronaut.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't finished the playthrough yet, but it's really neat. It's if you like a strong story, it really kind of gets you in it, and you're like, wow. You're like, oh snap. Gems of War on Xbox One is finally getting the updates that we've had on mobile Steam side for a while. And we're getting back into Smite and Heroes of the Storm. So, yay. And if you want to take part with us, participate in our Heroes of the Storm ranked play, let me know. I'm Yogizilla pound 1722 on Battle.net. But let's talk about the game that we've all been playing.
Oh, wait. I want to plug one more game, one other genre of game, if you will, before we go too much farther.
Okay, what's that?
I've been getting into augmented reality games,
Don't say Ingress.
No, so Slenderman thing, right? And how it all started.
Yeah, it's very sketchy when it comes to the origin story, but yeah, I know more or less how it started out. Yeah.
But you know about Marble Hornets?
Yep.
Okay, so Marble Hornets has their new series, which is Clear Lake 44, and it kind of happens in the same universe, and so the game kind of goes across YouTube and Twitter and this website, and I've been getting into those more often, so Everyman Hybrid, Tribe 12, and of course, Clear Lakes. Those have been really, really fun to kind of keep up with and go along. Now, granted, not an all ages thing.
Ooh, wait. So since you're big on that, I'm glad you brought that up. You like the cross media stuff, then, huh?
Oh yeah. No, I've been having a lot of fun, kind of running around doing different things with that, and getting to do some code breaking and things like that. Yeah.
Did you get into the Da Vinci Code Easter egg hunt when the book's released and they had the little the website thing and all that?
No, I honestly, I didn't even know about it at that time, but of course, I didn't even know about this, honestly, until a friend had informed me about it kind of a few months ago, and he was like, because I was trying to figure out something in Call of Duty Zombies. There's a lot of Easter eggs and hidden puzzles and codes in there.
Yeah.
And so he came over to my house. He's like, what is this gibberish across 3 notepads on your desktop? And I was like, oh, well, those are codes you can find in the zombie maps and, Treyarch's hidden all these codes, and I'm trying to decrypt them. And he's like, oh, well, have you ever heard of this, Marble Hornets? And I was like, no. He's like, it's kind of where Slenderman is. I'm like, where Slenderman started. And I'm like, I'm not really a horror kind of person. He's like, but there's another part where they have all these codes. And I really got into it then. And he's like, well, if you like that, check this series out and check this series out. And so now he's kind of got me playing a few different games like all around right now. And
well, did you ever
so
get
good.
into Defiance, or are you looking forward to Quantum Break? Because that has a cross-media experience as well.
So I'm interested in Quantum Break. I didn't know it had any cross media, but I'm kind of interested in it. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up, like, just because cost, like, right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Defiance, I actually played Defiance for a while. I haven't played in a good minute, but I was playing for a while.
I missed that game, to be honest. I wish they would port it over to Xbox One. Because I'm too lazy to put it on PC.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've played only on PC, honestly.
See, on console, it just kept blowing my mind seeing that level of detail and immersion with so seamlessly executed on a console. You know, it blew my mind. On a PC, that's just more business as usual, right?
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot to do. I don't know. I play on a controller on PC, so.
Yeah, it's a great game no matter. I kind of want to revisit it if it's still going. And I love the show.
I believe it is. It should still be going. I mean, I was playing just a few months ago.
Might have to play that for funsies. But starting from scratch, though, we'll see. What if I could import my character from 360?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
So we really got to wrap up soon, but let's talk about the Division real quick. I've logged 100+ hours in. How about you?
Not 100+ hours, but I have on PC right now. I've got a level 22, a level 15, and a level 30.
What's your highest DZ and main game level?
My high 30.
Okay. So yeah, you put the time in. So are you bored with it yet?
No.
There's a lot. That's the big thing, and we'll probably just wrap up with this. People saying there's not enough endgame content, and I'm saying it's exactly what we wanted it to be: a game that challenges you and you farm to get better gear, not just get the best gear set, but get multiple gear sets so you're ready for different kinds of encounters. Because running the Dark Zone is very different from running a challenging mission or just farming for materials, and you have different loadouts for that. Because if you're just farming for materials and drops, you may want to run a scavenging set, but that might make you weaker on other areas. If you're doing Dark Zone, you might want to be ready for PvP, unless you're just gonna fully commit to the PvE aspects, and then when you go into PvP, just try to run away. If someone just tries to engage you, there's so many considerations. Have you seen what they have planned for the 1.1? version patch update, the free update?
Is that the incursions, like the raids?
Yeah, so the Falcon Lost is the first one. I think they called it Last Stronghold before, but Falcon Lost is the first one. It's basically they showed already. You go underground and you assault the supposedly last LMB stronghold.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's a massive area. Like, it's one of those things where you really have to have people lock down positions and be aware of the surroundings, because you can get flanked easily, and there's stuff going on all over the place. It's crazy.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of waiting. I can't wait to see it, but I'm not watching a lot of spoiler stuff because I really want to go in fresh with it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, the problem is right now, due to unforeseen circumstance, your fault, I'm the only one playing on PC at the moment. Everyone else is kind of playing on Xbox One. So I don't really have a raid crew right now.
Yeah, for me, I made the decision for Xbox One a while back because they get the priority with the content, so I can report on it sooner. And really, I only knew like 2 people at the time that were playing on the PC. For sure.
Yeah, and now it's only 1.
Well, BFT's picking it up on the PC eventually, so you can play with him.
See, there we go. Well, if as long as he's not picking it up on the Xbox or the PS.
Well, he doesn't have an Xbox, so that's not going to happen.
But he does have a PS4, right?
Yes, he does.
So he could be picking it up there.
But Yeah, the other thing too, honestly, like I told Obi, I could run most games on ultra settings or at least high settings, and there's games like it that I could play. But for some reason, the Division's not optimized very well. So on PC, I don't like the performance on it.
Well, I might pick it up on Xbox One just because that's where all my friends are playing. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, so BFT says that it'll probably be on PC because that's what he's focusing on. It looks like. So
okay.
So anyway, a few things. So encourages, they're gonna be like raids. It's gonna be challenge. They said it on normal. It says challenging as challenging missions. So the challenging iterations of it's gonna be even crazier. I hope they're bringing a trading system. They're bringing more random encounters. They're adding timed boss encounters, like special mobs that people are gonna fight over in the DZ for increased loot drops. That's gonna be insane because people are gonna be camping those out.
Oh yeah, and then
style.
Afterwards, it's gonna be a battle royale.
Oh yeah, so that's definitely gonna raise the stakes. There's a lot of stuff coming. So prepare. You wanna get those blueprints, farm materials, get some drops, get the Phoenix credits, and prepare not just one, not just two, maybe 3 gear sets to be ready for anything. And they're talking about like you might have to like even switch your gear out mid battle to get ready for everything. So it's gonna be a lot of like teamwork and tactics involved. I'm really excited about it. Oh,
I'm looking forward to that.
They nerfed the Midas, so thank goodness for that.
Thank God, because it needed the nerf so bad.
Yeah, that unlimited signature move use is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man. So there's a lot more we'd like to say about it, but if you want more of a fix, we talk about Division, maybe perhaps ad nauseum on Horseplay Live, and everyone's talking about it on another game podcast. So tune in there. And yeah, anything else you want to add about the Division before we wrap it up? No? All right. Well, I can be found at Yogizilla everywhere: Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter, Xbox Live, Steam, all that good stuff. Fatal, where can you be found?
Twitter at Fatal Blades. On the Xbox One, IQ Freak Show. Twitch.tv/F8TL_Blades. Kind of just all around. If you hit up my Twitter, just shoot me a tweet. I'll shoot you any information you need, with the exception of anything that might get my identity stolen. I don't wish my bad credit on anyone.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Identity theft is not a fun thing. Well, folks, this has been another awesome Timey-Wimey Tea Time. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the conversations that we went deep on. I think we really went deep this time, and there's still so much more we can say about all these topics, but we never have enough time, so we might have to budget our time better, or I don't know, something. We'll keep tweaking it, but we'll see you in 2 weeks for this show, and you know where to find us in between these sessions. Take care, everybody. See you next time.
Peace.
We thank you. We thank you for every crumb, biscuit and cake you bring to the table. Because Doctor Who belongs to all of us. What you bring to the timey-wimey tea time in your live chat participation, comments, likes, shares, tweets and voicemail, all of it means the world to us. Love, true love, never fails. Do you like it? If you like what we're doing, well, tell us for God's sake. Shout it from the rooftops at geekyantics.net or call it in 206-415-4987. That's 206-415-4987. That's it. Bless you. So long. And thanks for all the fish. But on, it won't be that long, just a wee while, because the timey-wimey tea time will be back. We'll return next Saturday with fresh insights, questions and epiphanies about Doctor Who. And heck yes, everything geek. Maybe same bat time, absolutely the same bat channel. Every Saturday.
Timey-wimey tea time.
gusta.